Between 1689 and 1783, England is going to be in a constant state of warfare, or near constant state of warfare. We're going to fight 5 wars within those years. And so let's just briefly go over just a few of them because we're going to be going in a lot more detail for the last 2. The first war is known as the King William's War. That's the American name for it. Europeans call it the War of League of Augsburg. And basically what it is that England gets involved or inherits a conflict between Holland and France over France's annexation of some territory in what we would call Germany. England gets involved simply because now the King of England is William, and he's already at war with France, so England has to get involved. Really, not much changes over here in the New World. There's no huge transfers of land. There's really nothing decisive that is decided here. The second war is known as Queen Anne's War, fought in 1702. Queen Anne's, that's the American name. The European name is going to be called War of Spanish Succession. And in this conflict, it's basically about the rivalry between Louis XIV's grandson and the Holy Roman Emperor over who's going to become the next King of Spain. The King of Spain dies, and Louis XIV is going to vouch for his grandson, but he's also going to bring England involved because of the fact that he recognizes James II's son, or James the Pretender, and his legitimate right to the throne. He believed that James was the legitimate King of England and therefore needs to assume the throne. Well, the English aren't going to like that, and they're going to declare war on the French. And so now we have a second war, Queen Anne's War. And as a result, England gets Nova Scotia from this war. A third war is going to be known as King George's War, or the War of Austrian Succession. England and Spain are going to go to war over a Spanish commander cutting off an English sea captain's ear. His name was Robert Jenkins. And so sometimes you see this known as the War of Jenkins' Ear. France is going to enter as an ally with Spain, but it does nothing in terms of resolving English and French disputes here in the New World. They're still festering. It's still a cauldron, and we're going to see a much bigger war erupt soon after King George's War, and it's known as the French and Indian War, fought between 1754 and 1763. The European name for it is going to be the 7 Years' War because it's only fought 7 years in England, in Europe, but for the entirety here in the New World. And then, of course, finally, the biggest war of them all in terms of the United States history, and that's going to be the American Revolution, fought between 1775 and 1783. But keep in mind, 2 of those years are basically a diplomatic phase. There's not much fighting following 1781. But nonetheless, these are going to be the near constant century of warfare for England that's going to bankrupt them almost, and it's going to have enormous effects on how the colonies and England get along together.